All right, man. We know you're going to be smiling about it like always, but another fight week is here, so take me through what this camp was like and how good you feel coming in.
This camp was fantastic. It's finally fight week, and I'm happy to be here, but I went up a weight class. I'm now 205 instead of 185, and so I got to eat a little bit more, still very healthy, but I got to eat a little bit more, and I love eating. So this fight week's been great. The camp has been wonderful, and I've had a lot of time to prepare for this. It's the first full camp I've had in over a year.
Talk to me about the move up to 205. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a factor of not making the weight in your last one, was it? It was just a matter of, this is a fight that I can have right this minute?
So I talked to the UFC. I said, hey, I'm looking to fight. You know, my shoulder's healed up, my ankle's healed up, my everything's healed up. Everything feels great. When can I fight? And they kind of said, I don't think we'll have anything until about April. So I'm going to stay ready. If you have anything at 205, I'm willing to stay at 205 too. And they called the next day and they said, hey, you want to fight at 205? We're calling your bluff. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I've always been a big middleweight. I'm a middle-of-the-road light heavyweight. And so far I've been loving it. This camp has been wonderful, and I feel really good.
Is it too early to say whether or not you think that you might stay put at 205, or are you the kind of guy who'd be like Cowboy Cerrone was for a while, saying, hey, I'll go to 155 once, I'll go to wherever?
My career is modeled after Cowboy Cerrone. I'll go up, I'll go down. If they need me at heavyweight, anyone but Francis, I'm game. So they offer a fight, I'm going to take it. 205 is wonderful. 85 has been wonderful too. So I'll dance back and forth if the UFC will let me do it.
Physically, from a physical standpoint in training, obviously you know that you don't have to cut that extra 20 pounds, but what was the difference maybe in recovery and things like that as you push forward in the weeks leading up to the fight?
So the biggest difference for me between my 85 camp and my 205 camp is really just how often and how much I've been allowed to eat. I've been a big fan of the Lockhart system, and I've been using them for forever now, and they've got me where I'm actually heavier, but I'm leaner than I was at 85. Which I didn't expect to happen. I thought I was going to get out there and be a little chunkier, but I've actually leaned up staying at a heavier weight. So my camp is great. I got to lift a lot more weights, which I love lifting weights. And I got to, all my training partners, they got to stay heavy for me too. So that they even like me at 205.
Doesn't this kind of make it almost fascinating that, I mean, when you were on The Ultimate Fighter, wasn't it at 170?
Yeah, when I was on The Ultimate Fighter, it was at 170. And again, the UFC called and they said, hey, can you make 170? And I kind of stuttered, said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And we saw how my Ultimate Fighter run went. First pick, but then a quick drop off after that. My body just couldn't do that 170.
So obviously something you did for the opportunity and the sacrifice you made at the time, but that was never happening again after that.
Yeah, and I knew even as soon as I said yes to the UFC about going to 170, I knew I wasn't going to stay there. I knew I was going to go up as soon as I won the show. I didn't win the show, but I still went right back up because 170 I wouldn't be Smiling Sam anymore if I had to be 170.
Sure. 2017 was obviously busy for you. 2016 was busy for you. I mean, 4 fights in a year doesn't happen very frequently at the UFC level. Can you kind of pinpoint what makes you able to be able to do that and pull that off? And obviously you kind of alluded to it earlier by saying, hey, I want to be able to get right back in there. I don't want to wait an extra 2 months. So you're willing to go up in order to stay active.
Yeah, so I'm coming off a record-setting or record-tying year. I had 6 fights in a year. Immediately after, I had 4 fights in a year. I'm hoping this year I can do 4 or 5 fights again. I've always been busy in my career before and after the UFC. I've always liked fighting, staying in shape. That way I always think of it. When I'm training now, I'm getting paid to train because I'm always training for a fight. I'm not just training. And I've always loved that. I'm hoping to keep it going. The UFC has been too good to me, and they keep saying yes. So now I've just got to win and give them a reason to say yes again.
Let's talk about this fight and kind of what your reaction was when they said, all right, this is a fight you can take. This is the opponent. What did you know about him, and what did you learn about him after it was signed on the dotted line?
When they offered it to me, I knew his name, and I said, all right, let's do it. And then my coaches slowed me down and said, let's look at him first. So we looked, and you know what? It's going to be a fun fight. This Marcin Prachnio, and I apologize if I said it wrong. He's been around the world twice. I think he's got 150 kickboxing fights or taekwondo fights. He's got 15 fights in a high level. He may not be the UFC, but he's fought in some big organizations around the world, and he's won in all of them. So after watching him, you know what? This is going to be a fun fight. This is going to be a fight that really could be a bonus fight for us.
I mean, when you come into a fight like this, do you feel like, all right, this is a guy who really wants to be able to make his name to a new audience off of me, somebody who's been here for a while and has been around the block and who people know?
When I go into the octagon going against someone who's not been there before, I don't worry about them making their name off me. I worry about I'm going to make my name cemented in history. I'm going to be that legacy fighter like Cowboy Cerrone is, who just says yes. He goes in there, says yes, and then he wins. That's what I want to do. That's what I have been doing, and that's what I'm going to continue doing.
Where do you think you might have some advantages over him? I mean, you've talked about in specific disciplines, he's obviously a standout, but in MMA, he's not as well known to the bulk of people. So what are you going to bring to the table that's going to surprise him on Saturday?
The biggest disadvantage I have is I'm not 150 and 20 in Taekwondo. But that's all right. It's not a Taekwondo fight. It's an MMA fight, and I've got a lot more experience in there. I've got 50 or 60 fights right now, and the experience is on my side. I'm not even sure if I'm older than him or not, but I'm going to guess I am and say I've got experience there too. It's going to be a good fight. I'm going to make sure it is. I'm going to make sure I walk out with my hand up, and I'm going to make sure everyone watching remembers this fight.
Do you think at all at this point in your career, as you've said, you've done a lot in the sport, you've fought a lot of times, do you think at all about how you get wins? Because you were finishing guys for quite a lengthy stretch, and now you've got, I think, 3 straight decisions. So is that something that you as a fighter think about? Does it get in your head, or do you just care at this level, I got to get a win no matter what?
At this level, most important is I have to win. But I haven't finished anyone in 3 or 4 fights, and this is the longest stretch of my career. I can't stand it. My skin crawls. I beat Rashad Evans, and I was so mad at myself because I didn't finish him. And it's not like me. I am a finisher. I've always been a finisher. I've got 20 knockouts. I've got 3 submissions, and I'm just getting warmed up. So I come out with the intent to finish. If I win this fight but do not finish him submission or knockout or however it is, I'm gonna be really upset at myself.